let's take a trip back to the year 2012 when the Mayan prophecy told us that the world would come to an abrupt end. That, thankfully, or maybe not so thankfully, didn't happen. But there was an even greater sign of the apocalypse, Joe Flacco. Yes, Joe Flacco had his team up 22 points in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, and then this happened.
All of the lights on the 49ers side of the Superdome are out. And only imagine the scramble officials are going through.
They should have it up in 15 minutes, so if you want to let the benches know.
How the hell does this happen? This is just insane.
This may be the lasting image of that season. I'm kidding. No, it was the butt fumble. 100% the butt fumble. That was the lasting image from 2012. But before the lights went out at the Super Bowl, we had a powerful year of football. Today, we look back at the year 2012 in the NFL in balls deep. One of the most electric years of NFL football we've ever seen. Hey, if you remember the year 2012, subscribe. Also, a great way to support this channel, my coffee company, BenchwarmerBrew.com. I sell great, amazing craft coffee, and we got new mugs there. So if you want to support this channel, do it. BenchwarmerBrew.com, link below. Now, the 2012 season began in New Jersey, at the home of the defending world champion New York Giants. Romo, Manning, Witten, Bryant, Cruz, so much star power in this season opener. But the man of the hour was some guy named Kevin Ogletree? Ogletree kicked off the 2012 season with 2 TDs and 114 yards, prompting fantasy owners everywhere to rush to the waiver wire before Ogletree did a disappearing act for the rest of the year, myself included. Now, neither the Cowboys nor the defending champion Giants lived up to expectations in 2012. Both teams missed the playoffs and left the door open for a surprise champion in the NFC East, led by Robert Griffin III, aka RG3, the second overall pick in the draft, but first place in Rookie of the Year. For a brief moment in time, RG3 was a phenomenon. The Heisman winner out of Baylor mixed pinpoint passing with sprinter speed, and head coach Mike Shanahan devised the #1 rushing offense in the league, with fellow rookie sensation Alfred Morris running for 1,600 yards behind him. Griffin was efficient most of the times and spectacular the rest. In his very first game, RG3 defeated Drew Brees at the Superdome, and in a Week 6 duel with the Vikings, Griffin outrushed Adrian Peterson, and in the fourth quarter, he called game. Griffin won Rookie of the Year, but he was one of 3 rookie quarterbacks to guide their team to the playoffs in 2012. The Seattle Seahawks' third-round pick, Russell Wilson, wrestled the starting job away from the overpaid Matt Flynn and tied the rookie record for passing touchdowns with 26. Wilson led the Seahawks to an 11-5 record, including a coming-out party against the Patriots and a 7-1 stretch in the second half of the season. Clearly, they were building something special in the Pacific Northwest. Now, the first overall pick was actually Andrew Luck, and he was seen as the greatest quarterback prospect since fellow Stanford alum Johnny Elway, who I did a video about last week. Luck was flung into a mess in Indy, but managed to pile up 11 wins and 4,300 yards despite getting regularly flattened behind an abysmal offensive line. On the bright side, it did give Luck plenty of chances to congratulate his opponents for their nice hits.
Oh, nice hit, man.
Now, Luck proved his toughness in Week 8 against the Tennessee Titans, forcing overtime and throwing a screen pass to Vic Ballard, who made gravity his bitch on this walk-off touchdown. Sorry, George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, Vic did gravity first. Despite 11 wins, Indy did not take home the AFC South title. That belonged to the 12-4 Houston Texans? What? Houston got Pro Bowl play out of their offensive power trio of Matt Schaub, Arian Foster, and the great Andre Johnson. Oh yeah, and second-year defensive end, J.J. Watt racked up 20 and a half sacks on his way to his first Defensive Player of the Year award. Hopefully the Texans don't get rid of head coach Gary Kubiak so he can go on and coach a Super Bowl victory for another team. Oh wait. Houston may have peaked though on Thanksgiving Day when they traveled to Detroit for an intense matchup that went to overtime. Yeah, they used to have good Lions games on Thanksgiving. Imagine that. The Texans benefited though from a controversial touchdown run by he don't make the law, he just enforce it. Just enforce it. Just enforce it.
There's already a challenge flag out, which you don't need to challenge a touchdown. All plays have to be verified. But Schwartz emptied out the pocket.
The play is not reviewable. Touchdown.
So had he never thrown the flag, the touchdown would have been automatically reviewed. Yes.
I mean, Colin Kaepernick didn't even have his knee down on the ground that long. But we'll call that play karma for, Ndamukong Suh kicking Matt Schaub right in the dick, penis, and balls in the first quarter.
This is the bloke who got me on the penis before.
And while the Texans and Lions had dick and balls on Thanksgiving, the Jets and Patriots had the Butt Fumble. One of the most famous plays in NFL history and one of my very first viral videos. No clue who won that game, don't care, not gonna look it up. It's the Butt Fumble. After Shane Graham and Jason Hanson both missed field goals in overtime, Houston won after 73 and a half minutes of play. That was just one of 12 losses for Detroit that season, including 9 by one score, but they did have something special that season. Something mega special.
Megatron.
In 2012, Calvin Johnson racked up 1,964 receiving yards, an NFL record that still stands today, even though Matt Stafford tried to help Cooper Kupp break it in a 17-game season in 2021. And I think we need to give Stafford some more credit for being the arm that threw 2 of the greatest receiving seasons of all time. 2012 secured Calvin Johnson's spot as a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he retired early like Barry Sanders before him. You can say the same for another draft pick from 2007. God, I wish someone would make a video about the 2007 NFL season. Oh wait, I did hear. It's another episode of Balls Deep. Check out the Balls Deep NFL Deep Dives playlist if you want more videos like this one. On Christmas Eve though, 2011, Adrian Peterson tore his ACL. Just 8 months later, he was listed as questionable in the Vikings season opener against Jacksonville. I know we now live in an era where Cam Akers came back from a torn Achilles in 6 months, but this was a mind-blowing recovery for what used to be a career-ending injury. Peterson didn't just recover from his torn ACL, he was better than ever in 2012 because he made doctors use the ACL of an actual lion when they repaired his. AP averaged 131 yards per game, scored 13 touchdowns, and most importantly, dragged Christian Ponder's ass to the playoffs. Which reminds me of my favorite dad jokes from back then. What do you call it when Tim Tebow has a thought? It's a Christian Ponder.
Easy, don't. It's a medium joke at best. I don't need that, all right? Come on.
Now, Peterson had the chance to break the single-season rushing record in Week 17, but came up just 9 yards short of Eric Dickerson when Blair Walsh kicked a game-winning field goal at the end of regulation. Rest assured, you can always count on Blair Walsh for a chip shot field goal to win a big game.
Snap good, spot down, Walsh's kick is up, and it is no good, he missed it! Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that!
Now the Packers and the Vikings both made the playoffs, but the NFC was missing a team that had been to the postseason 3 straight years. And there's a very good reason for that. Before the season began, the New Orleans Saints were implicated in a scandal called Bountygate, where they were accused of paying players to injure opponents. Which is what I'd say every NFL defensive player is sort of paid to do, but potato, potato. In the Saints' 2009 march to the Super Bowl, it was alleged that they took cheap shots and tried to knock out Kurt Warner and Brett Favre in their final playoff games. Roger Goodell swung down the hammer of justice and suspended defensive coordinator Greg Williams and head coach Sean Payton for the entirety of the 2012 season. And he inadvertently punished all football fans when this somehow turned into a movie starring Kevin James on Netflix.
We really suck
Without Peyton, the Saints were lost. A team that finished 13-3 and won a playoff game in 2011 fell to just 7-9, allowing the second most points in the league. Believe it or not, this wasn't the only scandal the Saints were involved in back in 2012. This other one, however, wasn't their fault. Before a Week 2 game between the Saints and the Panthers, the NFL pulled referee Brian Stropolo, who was supposed to officiate the game. Stropolo got the axe mere hours before the game for a pretty serious reason. His Facebook showed that he was, in fact, a Saints fan. How could this have happened? Well, that's a little more complicated. Stropolo wasn't exactly an NFL official. Really, none of them were.
Okay, clap if you think it was holding.
Remember this? For the first 3 weeks of the 2012 season, the NFL employed replacement refs to officiate games while the usual referees were striking for better salaries, benefits, and full-time status as employees. Somehow, the most profitable league in America couldn't figure out how to pay the officials. So the replacement refs, who were employed by high school or lower college divisions, skipped past the picket line and did, well, exactly as bad as you thought they would have.
Hey!
The first 3 weeks of games included a ton of bad calls, a slower pace than usual, and inconsistent discipline. Things came to a head in Week 3 when 2 calls either changed or muddied the outcome of 2 huge games, both on national television. First, on Sunday Night Football, Ravens rookie kicker Justin Tucker lined up for a 27-yard field goal to beat the Patriots. The kick sailed good? Tucker's kick was probably good, but the Patriots were furious and Bill Belichick actually grabbed one of the refs to get them to review the play. Field goals are, of course, unreviewable, and Belichick was fined $50,000 for contact with a ref. Oddly, the NFL did not punish Belichick further when that referee disappeared a week later. Yet, that all paled in comparison to what happened a day later. After 59 minutes and 52 seconds, the Seahawks trailed the Packers by 5 points in Seattle. Remember that third-round rookie nobody quarterback who nobody wanted because he was under 6 feet tall like a fucking nobody?
He's too damn short.
Well, he got one more shot at the end zone, and then this happened.
The game's final play is a Wilson loft to the end zone, which is fought for by Tate with Jennings simultaneous. Who has it?
How does MD Jennings not get credit for the interception? I have no idea.
The call on the field stands. Touchdown.
'Twas known as the Fail Mary. One referee signaled for an interception, the other signaled for a touchdown. Nobody knew what was going on. The ball had clearly been wrestled away by Packers safety MD Jennings, but Golden Tate was awarded the score, and the Seahawks won the game. 3 days later, the referee strike was over. The refs returned in Week 4, but the greatest comeback story of 2012 involved another ref, the sheriff. I'm talking about Peyton fucking Manning.
I'll kill a snitch.
Peyton Manning missed the entire 2011 NFL season when he underwent multiple neck surgeries to heal the same degenerative condition that ended his brother Cooper's football career. When Manning was out, the Indianapolis Colts went 2-14, which put them in the driver's seat for the Suck for Luck sweepstakes. Luck in, Manning out. Despite being pursued by the Texans, Titans, Dolphins, Cardinals, Seahawks, and 49ers, Peyton Manning picked Denver. where he felt at ease with fellow elite quarterback John Elway calling the shots.
Thank you to John Elway.
Peyton Manning won his first start in Denver against the Steelers, but stumbled afterwards, going just 2-3 in his first 5 games while he learned to literally throw a football without feeling in his hand. Meanwhile, old Tom Brady was somewhere, forcing team employees to let air out of his football so he could grip it with a fully healthy hand. Now it looked like the Broncos would fall to 2-4 when they trailed 24-0 at halftime on Monday Night Football in a game against the Chargers in San Diego. I was watching that game with my friend and diehard Chargers fan John Nah. In the second half, Peyton Manning was reborn, and I watched my friend lose his soul in real time.
Over the top, Manning, Thomas touchdown, and Manning fires. End zone shot, Stokely for the touchdown. Rivers going left, and it's intercepted by Chris Harris, who's all the way home. What a comeback for the Broncos.
And the Denver Broncos wouldn't lose again in 2012 after storming back to beat the Bolts. Denver reeled off 10 more wins to close out the regular season. Manning tossed 37 touchdowns. Von Miller recorded 18.5 sacks, and the Broncos secured the #1 seed in the AFC. Now, when the Broncos beat the Baltimore Ravens in Week 15, it marked a 3rd straight loss for Joe Flacco's and the boys, but after a bounce-back win a week later, the Ravens clinched the AFC North and got an unexpected jolt when linebacker Ray Lewis announced that he did indeed help murder that guy 10 years early. That he would be retiring after the 2012 season. Ray Lewis was no longer an elite defender, but the team was headlined by stars like Ray Rice. Wonder what he's up to now. Wait. Ray Rice, Ray Lewis, Ray Caruth, oh God. Am I going to have to do a video about the curse of the Rays? Nah. Anyway, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, returner Jacoby Jones, and Torrey Smith, who racked up 127 yards and 2 touchdowns in their Week 3 win over the Patriots just hours after learning his brother had died in a motorcycle accident, were the guys propelling this team. The Ravens were not the best team in the regular season, but they were heating up, much like the Bengals in 2021. Now, another team on the other side of the country was getting hot at the right time. Red hot. Like the Ravens, the 49ers had come excruciatingly close to an appearance in Super Bowl 46 a year earlier. But they had suddenly become more dangerous. After starting quarterback Alex Smith was injured in Week 10, Jim Harbaugh handed the ball to second-year QB Colin Kaepernick. Cap had his coming out party against the Bears, shocked the Patriots on the road, throwing 4 touchdowns against Bill Belichick's defense, and secured a first-round bye for the 49ers. People forget Kaepernick had a passer rating above 104 of his first 9 starts. But it was time for the playoffs. The 2012 wildcard round kicked off with the Bengals-Texans game in Houston. If you're wondering if this looks familiar, that's because it was. These two teams played each other in the exact same place at the exact same time the year prior. And guess what? We got the exact same result. The Bengals being bounced after 2 boring football games. Later that night, the NFL delivered Vikings-Packers for the 2nd week in a row. Only this time, there was a little wrinkle. Right before kickoff, Christian Ponder was ruled out with the triceps bruise, and backup quarterback Joe Webb led the Vikings to a 14-point loss. League MVP Adrian Peterson was bounced from the playoffs. He recovered in record time from an ACL tear. Also, his quarterback could take a seat with a bruise? Tragic. The next day, we got 3 exciting rookie quarterbacks and Joe Flacco. Essentially, 3 shots of tequila and a suppository.
Hot, 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 hot!
Flacco did outduel Andrew Luck in the early game, and later that evening, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks erased a 14-point deficit to beat the Skins on the road. This was also the game where RG3's knee twisted into a pretzel and essentially ended his career before it really ever started. Although maybe with Kirk Cousins on the bench, that was God opening up the door for Kirk.
I asked him to come in and be the Lord of my life, and so Lord, I put my sin on your son, Jesus.
Right, Kirk? God hurt RG3.
I have peace with that.
Next week in the divisional round, oh God, no. No, do I have to talk about this? Fuck. I'm just gonna be silent and let some of the clips play from this Ravens-Broncos game.
It is caught! Touchdown, Torrey Smith! Throwing, tip, intercepted. Flacco stepping up and throwing deep down the far sideline. Caught! Into the end zone! Touchdown, Jacoby Jones!
Oh, Jesus, God, no anymore, no! And God damn it, John Fox, let Peyton throw the ball! Let him throw the ball with 2 timeouts, John! Yeah! The Broncos were eliminated, and so was Peyton Manning's extraordinary comeback season. That evening, Colin Kaepernick goes off on the Packers, throwing for 263 yards and rushing for another 181 yards with 4 total touchdowns. You can't understate how good he was in his first playoff game. The Packers go home, the 49ers move on. Sunday morning, we got another barn burner. The Falcons took a 20-0 lead over the Seattle Seahawks, but the Seahawks stormed back in the 4th quarter to take the lead. But Matty Ice led a last-second drive to set up Matt Bryant for a game-winning field goal. The Seahawks were finished, but they had something up their sleeve for next year. The New England Patriots beat the Texans to finish out the divisional round. Not gonna lie, I remember nothing from that game. This is one of 157 generic Patriots home playoff wins from the 21st century. The Texans had yet to become a laughingstock due to Bill O'Brien's GMing and Deshaun Watson's extracurricular physical therapy needs. They were just a decent football team back then. 4 teams remained, all vying for a chance to go to New Orleans and play in Super Bowl 47. Stop me if you've heard this before. The Falcons blew a 17-point lead, and Frank Gore scored the game winner in the 4th quarter, sending the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Gore had only been in the NFL for 20 years at that time, so he was still spry. Sadly, Hall of Fame tight end Tony Gonzalez missed out on his best opportunity to play in the big game. In the evening, Patriot killer Bernard Pollard crushed Stephen Ridley, forcing a huge fumble as the Ravens thoroughly handed the Patriots a loss in Foxborough. And like that official from week 3, I'm pretty sure we never heard from Stephen Ridley again after Belichick touchdown. Joe Flacco was perfect for the 3rd week in a row, and the Ravens were peaking at the right time. Think of Flacco like me, but if I had 2 months on YouTube where I added 500,000 subscribers. Now, you might have noticed that the head coach for the 49ers and the head coach for the Ravens had the same last name, Jim and John Harbaugh. And guess what? They are indeed brothers. And for 2 weeks leading up to Super Bowl 47, that's all anyone could talk about.
Brother, sweet brother, the killing of Stanton Sweet.
But that wasn't going to be the main story from this game. Oh, no. I told you Flacco had been perfect, and he was not slowing down. In the first half of the Super Bowl, Flacco tossed 3 touchdowns, including this bomb to Jacoby Jones, who went dancing with the stars on the Niners defense and put Baltimore up 21-3. The 49ers got 3 points back, but right after halftime, Jacoby Jones took the second half kickoff and did this. Jones went 108 yards, a Super Bowl record that still stands. 28-6, the Ravens were up. Flacco's near perfect run in this postseason is very well documented, but Jacoby Jones was equally impressive. 3 total return touchdowns that season and his lone pro and all-pro nods of his career. In 2 plays, Jones put up 164 yards of production. A blowout in the Super Bowl, though, is very bad for ratings, so someone in the league office turned off the power at the Superdome and gave the 49ers 35 minutes to collect themselves and mount a comeback. And that's exactly what they did. The 49ers gave it their best shot, and with under 2 minutes to go, San Fran had a chance to win the game. Whatever you do here, San Fran, don't throw a goal line fade. Don't throw a goal line fade. Don't, fuck, you threw a goal line fade. And that's how the 2012 season ended. Joe Flacco was named Super Bowl MVP, which led directly to him getting a 6-year, $120 million deal, which was Peyton Manning money at the time. More, actually. The NFL's equivalent of the chicken or the egg was born. Is Joe Flacco elite?
Absolutely, he is an elite quarterback.
I think that's a perfect way to end this video. 2012 was such a long time ago that Joe Flacco was making more money than Peyton Manning. Wait, maybe the world did end in 2012. Thanks for watching this balls deep episode of the 2012 season. We also did the 2007 season. Shout out to Will Keys and Johnny Barks for helping me write and edit these videos. NFL deep dives, balls deep playlist. Check it out if you like these long format bids.